Hi everyone and welcome to spdermankyxxiii. In today's video, we'll be talking about whether or not Tobey Maguire could possibly play Uncle Ben in Spider-Man No Way Home, assuming the rumors of him being in the film are true. Now before we get started, if at any point you enjoy this video, I would really appreciate if you could drop a like, as that would really help out the channel. Thank you. Now Tobey Maguire as Uncle Ben is something a lot of fans have been wanting to see ever since, I believe, Spider-Man Homecoming. It will be a nice way for Tobey Maguire being one of the first live-action Spider-Man to pass up the torch to the current live-action Peter Parker, Tom Holland. And as I mentioned before in one of my other videos, Tom Holland himself also wants Tobey Maguire to play Uncle Ben. It's also something I love to see myself, as it's a pretty cool way to introduce the MCU's version of Uncle Ben. On the other hand, it's also worth mentioning that some people may not want that, and if he was going to come back to the Spider-Man franchise, it would have to be as his version of Peter Parker from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films, which is completely understandable, since when they think of Tobey Maguire, they think of his Spider-Man from those films. However, I still think it could work, as they could still have Tobey Maguire playing Uncle Ben in the MCU, but also if they were going to do Spider-Verse in the future, they could say that Peter Parker from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films happens to look like Uncle Ben in the MCU, which would give MCU's Peter Parker a complex feeling about this. Now this is all assuming that Spider-Man No Way Home isn't a live-action Spider-Verse film, but somewhat of a grounded film, and if that's the case and Tobey Maguire is in the film, I think that would be a pretty cool idea. And a lot of people also suggested the fact that Andrew Garfield could play Richard Parker, Peter Parker's father, in the MCU, which would also be pretty interesting. Now if they were going to introduce Uncle Ben into the MCU, I don't think they would show a full-on flashback on how he died, pretty much showing Peter Parker's origin story in the MCU. The reason why I say that is because I think Marvel Studios are trying to avoid repeating the origin story, which we've seen twice in live action, but I do think a flashback which shows Peter's and Uncle Ben's relationship before the spider bite would be awesome. Or even better, like I've mentioned so many times in the channel, that they could recreate that moment from the Amazing Spider-Man issue 500, which would be the moment where Doctor Strange brings back Uncle Ben for Peter Parker as his birthday present. And with the rumor that Spider-Man No Way Home may in fact take a lot of influences from that story, I can definitely see that being a possibility, though that is just a rumor and nothing has been confirmed as of yet. However, if they do, it would be absolutely perfect when adapting it the right way, and it would also pay respects to the original Spider-Man trilogy at the same time. And with a lot of fan edits going around with Tobey Maguire as Uncle Ben talking to Tom Holland's Peter Parker, it's definitely something I want more and more of. Obviously they could bring other actors in to play Uncle Ben, like I've suggested in the past, Tom Hanks and Steve Carell, but I think when it comes to Tobey Maguire being MCU's Uncle Ben, it could definitely bring something special to not only the story but also to audiences who are massive fans of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. However, that's if Uncle Ben will be in the film at all. We don't really have a mention of him as of yet, we just have a few references here and there, and all the things about Uncle Ben appearing is nothing but theories as of so far. However, I think if Marvel and Sony were to bring up Uncle Ben again in the MCU, whether that be a mention or even straight up appearing as a flashback or something, I definitely think Spider-Man No Way Home would be the perfect time for that, as Kevin Feige did pretty much say that it's a very personal story for Peter Parker, and as I've said multiple times, you can't get more personal than Uncle Ben. However, what about you guys? Do you want Tobey Maguire to play Uncle Ben in the MCU, or do you think they should get another actor for Uncle Ben if he was going to appear in Spider-Man No Way Home? Do you think Tobey Maguire will be playing Uncle Ben in Spider-Man No Way Home if he's in it? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. If you enjoyed this video, please like. I want more, subscribe. To begin, spdermankyxxiii.